Hey guys, Rusty here, interrupting the start of this podcast. Just letting you know that myself, Greg, we all remember Greg, the man with the golden tonsils, as well as Simo, those boys from the Hunting HQ podcast, we're all going to be in Melbourne next week, and we are organising a meetup at the Union Hotel on Friday, the 18th of October, from about 7 o'clock. So if you are in Melbourne, near Melbourne, can get to Melbourne on Friday, the 18th of October. It's the night before Shot Expo, which is why we're there. The Union Hotel is at 252 Union Road, Ascot, Vale. You can find details on Facebook or the Impact Dynamics website. We'll be there having a few beers, chatting away, stories, all that sort of gear. A few laughs as well with those lads. And come along, find out if Simo still has his moustache, the dirty moustache, and whether or not Greg's still got a golden voice. Spoiler alert, he does. We would love to see you there. If you can, drop in for a few beers. We'll be there for a few hours and grab dinner and all that sort of gear before the weekend of the Shot Expo. So anyway, that's it. Let's get on with the show. Hope to see you on Friday the 18th.
You're listening to the Precision Shooting Podcast, discussing all aspects of precision and long-range rifle shooting. This episode is brought to you by Impact Dynamics. And now, over to your host.
Hey, and welcome to the, what are we called again? Precision Shooting Podcast. This is your host, the Dutchman, and this is episode 6 again. No, it's really 128.
Well done.
Correct?
It's Mark 2.
Mark 2. I'll be your host tonight, and we'll be discussing all things shooting related, I guess, as per our intro. Sitting over to my left, we have Bronte. How are you?
I'm very well, and yourself, Dutchy?
I am nervous at having hijacked the host duties.
It's a big responsibility.
It is. I feel like I've ticked all of the mandatory boxes of saying hello. I got the episode number right.
Yep.
And I've introduced one of the guests.
Yep. So yeah, partway there.
So we'll move on.
Pack up and
Rusty,
go home.
What's up?
My inability to work technology tonight is going great. It's going great. But anyway, that does no one be the wiser if I didn't say anything. But we already did 15 minutes of this show, and
We have.
I forgot to press record.
And I forgot to say anything, and we're all guilty of something. So, let's move on.
Bronte's just too damn good looking to make mistakes. So here we are. So in the last episode that didn't record, Bronte, you were talking about your four-wheel drive trip. Which I think we need to put that video on Facebook, by the way. Your impressive effort of driving pretty much backwards up a cliff. Not backwards, but...
there were most of the wheels on the ground for a fair portion of it. They just alternated. I was trying to save tyre wear.
I like it. Yeah, that's a good way of doing it.
You just wanted the crowd to shriek. And shriek they did.
They did. Yes.
That's the main reason I really wanted to.
Oh, no, it wasn't. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yep, your girly friend in the background giggling.
Without her up the top filming, that would have been just another video of someone doing something good. Yeah. But it was someone doing something great.
Yeah. With a brilliant reaction. So, yes. Oh.
I don't think my voice goes that high to
give it a go.
Replicate that shriek.
Give it a go. No, not even close.
Not even close.
Your drums aren't bleeding.
In fact, if you got that video, play that video into the microphone, just particularly the ending, because that was well worthwhile. Hey, I'm guessing we got some Patreon supporters checking out. Hey, Patreon guys, thanks for being Patreoners. Oh, look out! Here we go. Okay, good. Good.
She has a voice for radio.
Wonderful. Excellent. So, speaking of Patreon supporters, hey, Patreon guys, as you and many others were knowing, we are getting new T-shirts made, all aspect T-shirts, all aspects. And Patreon supporters, you guys get $10 off for being legends. So if you're not a Patreon supporter, jump on in and get $10 off the all aspects T-shirts. That would be great.
We should get on the front hashtag press record before you start recording.
Yeah, that'll be on.
Just as a reminder, and we'll wear them every time.
That's the next T-shirt.
Yeah.
Press record.
Only our Patreon supporters that get that.
Press
They're like,
record,
mate,
eh?"
you're not recording it yet. Again.
There's probably 20 comments of like, press record, you
Yeah,
idiot.
press record. We don't listen to you. Mate.
Yeah, so you can provide tech tips if you're a Patreon supporter to
There you go.
us.
Please.
Yeah, we
please
need-
provide tech tips.
We need all the help we can support. We can get generally, if you want to send me a message on a Wednesday night at about sort of 8:45, just send me a message saying press record.
Press record.
Yeah.
Press record.
That's right. And what's Andy's number? You can catch me on Andy's number, which is anyway. Andy's not here tonight. Anyway, back to the host.
So this week we'll be discussing. Have we already done that, haven't we?
I don't know. Shooting things.
I should have brushed up on my host responsibilities before I came here. This is going on my resume, by the way.
Wonderful.
I've hosted podcasts before. A podcast that went terribly. We forgot to press record.
So 2 podcasts. One.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Bang. I didn't lie. Even
One
though
we
I
didn't
had.
press record on,
Yeah.
and
The other one we did.
well, I did.
Yeah, I guess a whole heap of junk happened over the last couple of weeks. You know,
Oh, you've been working on your stock.
I have.
Yeah,
I have. I'm
How's
getting
that
my, what is it? PRC. Is that what the rimfire thing's called?
Yeah, just
Yep.
Yeah, rimfire.
Cool. Yeah, I've been working on my stock. What have I been doing? The
You said you got-
staining and oiling
Mm-hmm.
and getting all of the ends sealed so they don't let water in. So
Yep.
you're using lots of varnishes and polishes and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Getting that ready, and I also checked my action and barrel, which had been sitting in the safe, and it had rusted, covered in surface rust. So
It's not ideal.
no, not ideal at all.
Okay.
Were any of your other rifles affected, or was it
Nah, just that one.
one?
So I'm thinking it might have been the rust preventative
I
that
didn't.
came with the
Yeah.
kit that didn't work at all.
Not so preventative.
Yeah.
No,
Encourage
maybe
it.
it said rust creating.
Yeah, it could have been.
Yeah,
If you want
could have
that old dickety look, just rub this salt water all over your newly
Could have been opposite day.
restored. No, because everything else was normal. I don't know. Yeah, it's a bit of
Dunno.
a
Okay.
kick in the
Balls.
yeah.
You're allowed to say that word. It's okay.
Oh, I wasn't going to go with balls. I was going to say kick in the because it was more. It's just painful to like. It was just covered in rust,
Yeah. Okay. Good.
and I looked at it and went, "Ouch."
Ouch. Ouch. Right. Well, I'm not sure we can relate to you, but you know, whatever. We're an equal
I don't know. I got a
opportunity.
mean kick.
Might be
Those
lacking the
kicks hurt my feet too. I'm not the only victim here.
Good.
Yeah, that happened.
Mhm.
You know, got to move forward. I've put
Move on.
trusty gun oil on it now, and it looks really good. Apart from the one really rusted bit.
You take care of that with a Dremel, surely.
Nah, I'm just going to leave it on there as a reminder.
Or what not to do.
Yeah, pretty much.
Good.
Don't do what Donny don't does.
Mm-hmm. And when are you going to shoot it?
Hopefully soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is the last stage of the stock restoration.
Okay. Almost there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So have you done the glass bedding and all that sort of stuff, or you're not?
I'll be
going
doing
to?
that tomorrow.
Nice.
Tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
The next
Yeah.
day. Doesn't matter. If we're doing a double episode, it'll be like time never happened. So it will be happening in the near future.
Yeah. So what have you sort of done much research into that?
Yeah, heaps.
Yeah,
Read
heaps.
some stuff, looked at
Yeah.
it, and went, nah, you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. What's your
Expert.
proposed?
I'll make my own way.
Expert.
What's your proposed release agent?
Shoe polish
Yeah.
and graphite powder.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That. I think it's Quicky's natural shoe polish or whatever it is. The clear one is
Yep.
apparently
Yeah.
sensational.
Yeah,
and
okay.
that's what I used when I did mine, and it come out real.
Yeah.
Easy.
I've done one before and yeah, it just came
Just
straight
pop
out.
straight
yeah.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant.
Really easily. But yeah, that was I did one in a composite stock, whereas this one's wood. So I think it's going to be similar principle.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's still the same because it's a metal versus the
Yeah.
epoxy. It's the same.
Same.
as far as
Same.
What you're
different.
trying to get to release.
Okay. Good luck with it.
Thank you.
Good luck with it. Look forward to seeing that out and shooting and winning comps with it.
It'll be competing. I don't know. I haven't shot in a number of years.
Well, that'll all change soon.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting the
All
old
change soon.
the deuce up and running because it's going to be what, like $5 a match?
Pretty much, mate. Maybe
Yeah.
10 for a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's-
good. So good. Excellent. Well, speaking of matches, and $5 a match was enough to buy some water at the last match. No, not really.
Would you go to the footy or something?
I said $5, not 30.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, we were up at the match in Biggenden, up in Queensland. Just got back from that last night after 2,300 kilometres in a couple of days. Hightailed it back. But anyway, the match was really good. Jared ran a really tight, good, quick, running through, very smooth, finished on time, all that sort of stuff, the important stuff, and it went really well. So congratulations to Luke McKenny and now I'm testing my memory, Crispy, and also
It's from the Northern Territory. I remember
That's right,
the
Gareth.
ochre shirt.
Gareth as well. Yeah, I had to spend so much. All the time I was looking at results, I was pretty darn tired. So, Brendan, who came fourth as well, and it was a good match, good fun, and probably what stories can we tell you about? I showed you some of the photos before of it. There was this star pickety thing, the what do they call it? The hat stand. That's now I'm saying people who won the match as though they're in the room. Not Brendan, Bronte. Brendan came fourth. Bronte's sitting there. Bronte, you described this before and you did quite well. What is this thing?
It's a vertical member.
Yes.
With a series of horizontal members at approximately 90 degrees that are not particularly well affixed.
They're well affixed. They didn't fall off.
Well,
put it
yeah,
that
but
way.
it doesn't look particularly stable. I think
No.
it's probably the key point of it there. So it's bits of star dropper.
Yeah.
What do the Kiwis call that?
Oh, Waratah.
Waratah.
Yeah, it had me confused as well for a while there.
Still confused about Kiwis in general. This thing was really wobbly, hard to shoot off. Pretty small target from memory. Challenging sort of thing. There was a builder stage. No, build a bear stage.
There wasn't a bear.
There was no bears.
There was a dog kennel.
Bit anticlimactic if there's no bear.
Sorry. You had a tyre, a dog kennel, a hay bale, a tactical milk crate, which were locked up overnight. Of course, Bronte, I knew you were concerned about that. There was actually a ball as well, and a couple other tubs and bits and pieces you could use, and there's a bit of variation in what guys used to build it, and you had to get over about this high, 1.2, 1.3 metre sort of high wall, and then shoot across that. So, yeah, that was a good stage. Did see a few things, although they're the sort of stages that really do the best when they're run blind, so that you don't get to see what the other person has done before you and you can copy it. There was a wobble platform that had probably something we haven't encountered quite so much. It was a really tight wobble. So I think it was a real sort of finicky wobble, but not the big movements that you're sort of used to, which was good. There was that's right. There was a milling stage. Which I didn't take photos of because it's not really worth taking photos of milling stage. But there was one of the ones put together by the Huntsman guys, and it was one milling stage where you were using your reticle and knowing the target size, and you were trying to determine the distance of it from where you are. And so this stage originally was part of the match and worth points and stuff, but sort of just clashes a little bit where you really want your points to be worth something where you shoot. And it was very difficult if you were going to ride a stage that just in the format, given that you're all about 40 metres away from each other, where you had to mill the targets and then shoot them and then not give the distances out or have them written down or anything along those lines. Just logistically, it's a difficult thing to do on a square range. If you had multiple ranges, you can shift people off one range to the next, and it's perhaps a little easier to do that. But we took it out of the scoring system and made it its own side comp, and that worked really well because then the tendency, no, I don't want to say the tendency to cheat, but just the temptation to push the boundaries on it.
That's cheating.
Which is cheating,
Yeah.
But there was just, it was removed. It was removed from the equation because it didn't matter to the match overall. And there was a
I've
prize
seen
on it.
Aussies play cricket. We check.
Yeah, there's no sandpaper involved.
We
Though.
didn't check for any sandpaper, to be fair. So, who knows? But
There's your problem.
that's right.
Someone would have smuggled sandpaper in.
Well, they may have done, just roughed up their bowl a little bit or something
I'm
like
just
that.
thinking like
There's enough bloody
They
sand
probably had
and
it
dust.
just to itch their balls. But
I'm just thinking the laser rangefinder binocular. So where are those targets again exactly? Oh, there they are. They would have come in real handy about then.
Yeah, well, so there were 3 targets to do, and the guys clearly
one of those eliminator scopes. Is that what it is?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Well, they had team members out there, didn't they?
there was a member with members hanging off the side of it, according to Bronte.
Isn't that a
but-
Burris thing? The eliminator?
Yeah, correct. But the
But there was a team Burris.
Team Burris would not have been running an eliminator for a PRS match, right?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure actually. Yeah.
I know a guy that sells scopes with eliminators.
Because the Burris boys, Scotty was there and he just had his XTR3 arrive, brand new one from Burris.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so he's all excited about putting that on the wrong way. Anyway, the milling stage was good, and the guy who won. So how we added it up is you add the 3 together, and then the variation of the total number, which was about 1,256 meters, I think was the ideal number, and then the variation. So the winner, which was John, he was 2 meters of variation across all 3 targets, which is very impressive as far as I'm concerned. And then 5 meters was after that, 6 meters, and then I think 8 or 10. So some guys got real close, but no one nailed it on the money. So either they were using a rangefinder and just fudged the data a little bit, or they weren't. They did it legit.
I don't know. That's probably within measurement error of a rangefinder.
2 meters,
Yeah, no
except
variance from one model to another.
John's never used a rangefinder, so it's not.
Well, he doesn't need one by the sound of
Yeah,
it.
well, that's right. He sounds pretty capable with the old milling.
Right, got it. Nah, just grab John. John, how far's that?
Just eyeballs it. 397.3. Yeah. Rangefinder says 398. Yeah, fair call. So it was really good. It's a good side match. And then at presentations, probably my favourite thing from the weekend happened, apart from my skateboarding incident. But the best thing happened is Luke won, which was great. Proceeded to pick up. Actually, I've seen Luke walk prize tables before, and sometime, or most of the time, he'll walk up to the prize table and he'll sort of walk up and down it and sort of work out what he wants or needs or whatever, and then
Flip the table over.
flip the table over and just pick some stuff up off the ground. No, he's sort of looking around for whatever it is. This time, I've never seen him walk up to a prize table so quickly. He's walked straight up to it, grabbed the Defiance barreled action off, and then walked off. I'm like, I thought, well, you knew you wanted that. Fair enough. No problem. Anyway, a few moments later, I saw young little Eddie walking around nearly with tears in his eyes and holding a barreled action Defiance. And I'm like, what's... I can guess what's happened here because it's not the first time Luke's given something away, but he basically grabbed it, walked straight over to him and handed the 14-year-old, the youngest, PRS guy that we've got, and gave him a brand new barreled action. So that was a pretty cool story, and it's amazing to see at a match, and it was certainly my highlight from the weekend. So on you, Luke. Actually, a little story about the Luke. The first time I met him, we probably all met him, was at the second PRO match, and he did a very similar thing. He picked up something off the prize table, which was magneto speed, and only prize he got, and he gave it away to the guy who I think ended up finishing last, maybe, or didn't do so well. Didn't have good data.
Data problems.
Yeah. And that same guy actually has given that magneto speed to all those years ago. Just got invited to the finale this week. So clearly he's coming a long way.
That's a really good shows a really good character with Luke, who's been in that situation. He's got the gear. He sure as hell knows how to use it. But it's fantastic to see him, helping, giving it to somebody else that needs it,
and to give it to a junior who during the match broke his bolt. You can probably relate to that, Bronte.
Wouldn't have any idea what you're talking about. Nothing ever breaks for me.
But he pulled he got a good handle on him. He pulled the bolt handle off mid stage, and then sort of just grabbed what was left of it and just continued to run the rest of the stage with barely breaking position. So clearly, he'll go on to do good things, I suspect.
It kind of suggests that it's happened before.
I don't believe so.
No?
No, he just kept his head together. Just knows how
That's
to deal
well
with
done.
the situation, and away he goes. As far as maybe it's happened every week. I'm not really sure, but yeah. So after presentations, we're still there with our Huntsman guys, Rob and Joel from Huntsman and Dave from Cutlass. And we thought, these guys have been really good to the match and really good to us. So, let's go grab dinner with them and we'll shout them dinner. So we've gone off to the pub, walked in there. This is about 6:15 on a Sunday night in Biggenden. This will give you an idea of the size of the town. So we've gone in there, we've walked in and we're like, we're here for dinner. It'll be sort of 5 or 6 of us. And they're like, we close in 10 minutes. Oh, okay. So where else can we go? Oh, the Servo does pizza. Okay. All right. So I've rung Rob and said, mate, we can go to the Servo apparently. Do you want us to take you to dinner at the Servo? So we went to the ISIS Servo, which is on the ISIS highway. So we went in there and pretty much got apparently the guy, I don't know why, but he's like pizzas will take 45 minutes. I can do your burgers. We can wait. Oh no, I'll just do your burgers. You guys want burgers?
Clearly he doesn't like making pizza.
So okay, well, so we all grabbed burgers and
probably called up the pub afterwards. Like, you bloody stitched me up again, didn't you? Tell them I make pizzas.
And so anyway,
they'll be talking about that for years.
We went in there.
We had 5 guys rock up. Like, who do they think we are? Sorry, mate, we're closing.
Sorry, who wants to get fed at 6:30?
We don't have 5 steaks, mate. That's the problem.
So we got pizzas at the Servo and all sat around in the Servo eating pizzas, burgers, and I'll be fair, they're pretty good burgers.
Did they have bacon on them?
Well, we asked for bacon on them.
Yeah,
on
I was going to say.
Yeah. we did. So that was us treating Huntsman out to dinner. was Servo burgers. So anyway, Biggenden, it's full of all the nightlife, mate. It's full of all the nightlife.
Just never closes.
Never really opens either.
Yeah, well, can't close it, never open.
No, well that's it. But it was good. It was good fun. The community hall in there looked after us and had pretty cheap drinks when we were there, and nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. So, good match. Another one of the series. The next one is the finale, which is back here.
Oh, just
back
to
home.
any international sponsors looking to branch out into Australian PRS.
Yep.
Servo burgers.
Servo burgers.
Servo burgers.
Yeah. I'll tell you
We'll
what.
take you out to a lavish dinner of Servo burger.
And then we had ice cream
It almost
afterwards.
sounds fancy if you say it fast. What about if you do it with a French
I was
accent?
going to say French.
Servo burger. Servo burger. Oh, that sounds flash. I love that.
Scrape me up one of those. Yeah.
That'll be on MasterChef next year. Guarantee it.
Yep.
This week's challenge, Servo burger. What the hell is that? Never heard that. A little panic.
It's amazing.
Then Mick will just be like, mate, they're trying to get you to cook pizzas.
The pub top June for pizzas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that was as flash as we got in Biggenden, and then we went back to the range and kicked about and had this, which was I was looking around Dan Murphy's and found Jameson cold brew, so Irish whiskey with the taste of cold brew coffee. Yeah, infused with the taste of cold brew coffee. It was it's not bad, really. If you like your coffee and you like your whiskey, it's pretty much so. So I'm intending to make some Irish coffees.
Isn't Irish coffee just coffee with bourbon or whiskey in
With
it
whiskey
anyway?
in it, Irish whiskey. Yeah, so this is sort of like Irish coffees in a bottle. Try a little bit, Bronte.
Smells
If you
right.
like it. Yeah. We've just a precision drinking podcast now we've moved into. Actually, we were there a long time ago, to be fair.
Kind of where it started.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing much has changed except we got fancy recording gear that we forget to turn on.
It's not half bad, actually.
No, that's true. You
it's
want
pretty
to
decent.
nip
I'll
there?
have a...
Yeah, this is the best content we could possibly make. So anyway, apparently it's limited edition or something, and I would highly suggest it. I wish you were getting paid for this. Jamison Cold Brew. How's that going down? I mean, it's not the best Irish whiskey to start with, but it's
But it's
Not a bad idea.
no, the concept's good. So we'll carry on with some of that. Brilliant. So that was, although this may have been responsible for my broken finger, I'm blaming some of that. And the beverage of the weekend was brain hemorrhages. If you're familiar with brain hemorrhages,
No, they generally seem to be quite terminal, don't they?
not the 7 I had the other night, which they're peach schnapps for half a shot glass, layered with Baileys or whatever Irish cream you want on top. And then you drop grenadine in on the top on that, and it looks what you imagine a brain hemorrhage to be. So we racked up a few of them on a Thursday night for a few guys, and they were like, "Oh yeah, what is this weird sort of?" And then they tasted it, and they went, "That is amazing." It was, and it was good. And then I decided skateboarding was the best thing for the night and broke my fingers. So that was a good start to the weekend.
Realistically, I think you probably got away pretty lucky with only
You are-
broken fingers.
you are
Generally, if you
incredibly
go
right.
7 brain hemorrhages, then skateboarding, you're expecting it to be limbs, not just digits.
Usually once you've had 7 brain hemorrhages, you're not going skateboarding. So
Well,
I thought I was way in front of
You're
that
doing
point.
quite well to be ambulatory at that point.
And not just in an ambulance. So, I was pretty happy with that. It was good. Right, what else have we got to go on with? Oh, yeah, question from the Precision Rifle Australia group. Here we go. Looking for recommendations. This is from Marco. Looking for recommendations for 308 muzzle brakes. Most popular brakes I've seen through research is the APA Little Bastard, Gen 2 and Area 419 Hellfire. Has anyone tried these on the same rifle and perhaps notice a difference? To add a third to the mix, the Area 419 Sidewinder has my curiosity too. Seems to be the most reduction on recoil, but also great for staying on target and re-engaging at a faster rate. There's all research based on info that I've found, like some field data results from those using them. Note, length or weight of the muzzle, not a factor. I'd like to hear your choice on what you don't like. Have any of you guys used those, know what they are, seen them, heard of them?
I've got the Little Bastard.
You've got a Little Bastard. I've had a Little Bastard. Yep.
Yep. It's a very effective brake. It earns its name because it is also a very loud brake. And anyone shooting next to you calls you a larger bastard.
Yes.
All the Area 419 stuff's all pretty bloody good, really. They're one of those companies that if they're putting a product out, they've done their testing and they know it's pretty well squared away.
That's a Sidewinder there. Which,
So that's one of the self-timing brakes as
That
well,
is
isn't it?
self-timing, and so is the APA.
Yeah, and that's probably one thing that if I was in the market for a brake would be pretty high on my list of criteria to have a self-timing brake.
That one there is the Hellfire. The Hellfire is a three port. The Sidewinder is a 4-port. Self-timing as well.
Yeah, I think there was a mad scientist one kicking around a while back.
Mad Scientist brake.
Yeah, and their sort of claim to fame was the first port was at 90 degrees.
Oh, yeah?
And then the subsequent ports after that were angled back at, I think, 45 or something like that. And the whole idea of that was it kind of helped protect the shooter a little bit because you had that blast of gas at perpendicular.
Yes.
And then you had the, your later ports angled back, which gives you your additional recoil reduction. But you were kind of shielded a little bit by the first perpendicular port.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. That's the one there.
Yep.
Yeah, that's an interesting concept. I think the big thing that I that learned from brakes is if it's a reputable brand, they're generally going to be a good thing. How much difference they are between several models, I don't know. Some guys like 3 ports, some guys like 4 ports, some guys like probably more. I haven't noticed a big difference between more or less of them. There is the APA Chode as well, which we have to mention, which is a single port brake, isn't it?
They got the Chode, the micro bastard, the little bastard,
Big.
the fat bastard, and then like the triple X bastard.
Yeah, for the big
I got the
stuff.
fat bastard, and that is a fantastic brake,
Yeah.
but it's big.
It is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you're in one of those major brands and you're in one of the known brakes, sort of, I like the self-timers and away you go, really.
I think the self-timers are quite beneficial because, if you've ever had to try to time a muzzle brake or know the person that's doing it well enough that they tell you their honest opinion about it,
Yes.
you'll soon realise that, timing muzzle brakes is less than an enjoyable experience for most people. Obviously, some guys are great at it, but it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, no, self-timing seems to certainly be. It's become much more popular and you see more and more options in them.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing with the ones that you have to manually time, you kind of put it on. You normally have it at about 11:30 or whatever it is. So after the threads stretch and work a little bit, it comes to square. But then inadvertently, it's always going to be over, or it's never going to be.
Yeah.
You're never ever going to get it right, and it's
that was a self-timer. You can tweak and adjust in bits and pieces. So
One thing to consider on that would be what thread pitch it is, thread pitch and size it is. Because I was reading that even machining it down to the 5/8 by 24 or whatever it is takes a lot of meat off of heavy barrels.
Yep.
Okay.
And you end up more with like a sporter profile at the end, and that can affect your accuracy if it's shot over a long time, and it can. I think it was belling out, like the barrel was opening up because there was not as much meat on there. And like with people over tightening them as well.
I could see over tightening it doing some serious damage.
And they were recommending going to the next size up, and that the 5/8 by 24 was only adopted because the military adopted it, and then everyone else ran with it.
Yep.
And it just became sort of the go-to thread pitch and size rather than it having any great benefit over a larger thread.
Yeah, I could see definitely if you went to town and over tightened with a self-timing brake, with as you're saying with a 5/8. Where you've lost a fair chunk of material, you get a good opportunity to do some damage up the front end. But that's the thing with most of those APA, like the APA little bastard, you really don't have to put it on there that tight and it stays in place.
Yeah.
You don't need to like wrench it on. They say you can, but you can almost do it hand tight and then just snug it a bit.
Yeah, so that's all I do. I hand tighten it,
Yeah.
very, very light, snug, and it's never moved. But that might be just because it's like seized on there with all the carbon and crap because it's never been cleaned. But
but the thing, it hasn't come off and it hasn't loosened. So
yeah,
there
exactly.
You go. Yeah, just something I'd read, and this was on like 30 cal and larger barrels where they were saying like I guess the smaller maybe 6.5 and 6 mil, it's not as big an issue because you're not taking.
Oh yeah, more meat in the middle still.
Yeah, you're not taking that bore diameter into account. But yeah, it was just something to think about. And when the people who were writing it said where the 5/8 came from, it was just originally a military thing. They said they want all of them this size, and then it just sort of stuck and people ran with it. And there was no actually real reason why they'd picked it other than they were told to.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess it probably depends at what point in time it gained its popularity. But the most militaries in the Western world have been running a 22 cal for quite some time, and the barrel profiles of 5/8 threads probably about as big as you'd fit on the.
This was referring to like larger profile barrels.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
And they're saying you don't need to take that much off just to get a brake to fit because it's the popular one. Take less off.
Yep. Well, I think the tickers, they're
18 by something.
Yeah, M18 or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there was someone. I from New Zealand that did a stack of tests on muzzle brakes, although that's gone back a while. Do you know if that bloke's updated that? I'm trying to think.
I don't know if it's updated. I have seen the
I'm
the
pretty
test.
sure he put it on either a swinging sort of setup, so it would measure how far back under recoil it would go with the various
right.
brakes. I don't.
There's another bunch of guys in the US that have done it as well.
Yeah.
They
They
had
jam corn flour down it basically to give you the pattern of where the brake was. So it looked pretty cool.
Yeah, right. Okay.
this other lot had a what was it, a recoil, like a pressure sensor pad at the back
Yep.
of it or something like that.
I think I remember reading that one, and what I found quite interesting in it was that a 30 cal brake with a 6mm versus a 6mm brake on a 6mm.
Mm.
Yes, the 6mm brake was more efficient, but it wasn't.
Negligible.
It wasn't
It
huge
wasn't.
amounts.
This one does 5%, that one does 95%. It was very, bugger all
Very
difference, really.
close. Yeah, okay. I'll see if we can try and work out who's. It's been a little while since I've watched those videos or website or wherever it
I'm
was.
surprised if it would have been in
few
New
things
Zealand
around.
because they're actually lucky enough to get suppressors.
Yeah, yeah, but Terminator brakes are from New Zealand, off memory, and they're a really good brand. I think it was comparing those versus a number of others as well. So, yeah, but anyway, it's all right. There's both. A number of guys in the US will opt for a muzzle brake over a suppressor.
You do get more.
Depending on the scenario.
You will get more recoil reduction with a muzzle brake typically. And the other thing, you don't necessarily worry about a muzzle brake getting hot, whereas you do.
No.
You do need to be quite mindful, especially if you're letting off a number of rounds in a hurry.
Yep.
Of suppressors getting pretty damn warm on the outside.
Yeah, not wrong. Right. Well, we have some questions regarding reloading. I've got a specific question from someone who's been waiting patiently since August for us to answer this question. Sorry, mate. We will get there now. But the other thing is, I did a post up on Facebook and had lots of comments from people. It was what is the one reloading process you've done that has had the biggest effect on your shooting? So let's read through a couple and we'll delve into anything that's of interest.
Neck sizing for me. I just couldn't get the things to stay in the neck up before.
Yeah,
They
okay.
just go straight through.
Yeah,
I think it was the
that's
powder holding them up.
good. Good, that's important.
I'll leave now.
All good. Matthew Butterfield actually doing it.
That's pretty fair, to be honest.
Yep, that's it. Mitchell Alderton, stop drinking wild turkey rare. # all aspects. Thanks, mate. Michael Taylor putting the powder in.
What, just like as a life decision, stop drinking, or just while you're reloading?
Probably both. Probably both.
Sounds like terrible advice then.
Michael Taylor said putting the powder in, which I did take a few guys in who could probably learn from him because there was a few guys at some recent matches who did forget to put powder
See,
in.
there you go.
It's
Yeah.
not a good feeling when you hear the click and you're like, that didn't sound bangy enough.
Yeah. And then you go, that must be my primers let me down.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
you pull it out and the RO pulls out the bullet and there's no powder there and it's my fault. Yeah.
Sea doodles.
A kneeling from Kieran.
I agree with that. Yeah, kneeling is I found that to be quite a beneficial process for reducing my standard deviations.
Someone else has said AMP and kneeler as well, which is ticks the kneeling box. All right, one from Greg Hamilton, bending ammo straight with a concentricity gauge. Have you ever done that, Bronte?
I do have a concentricity gauge.
Yep.
And to be honest, it was a waste of a couple $100 because I used it once, found out that my ammo was as bad as straight as I could get it anyway, and sat in the bottom drawer since.
Okay.
I personally, I don't like the concept of bending ammunition straight again. I'd prefer to get it straight in the first place. The reason why I'd be obviously it's relative to how much. If it was at a 45-degree angle and now you've squared it back up, that's one thing. But if it was only out by half a thou or a thou, then that's different. But I'd be concerned because it's then introducing some inconsistency with your neck tension. Because if you've had one that was dead on straight, and that's got the same neck tension it come out of the die with, you've now got one that's been tinkered with.
Yes.
It's never going to be as consistent as if it was all of them come out the die in the same fashion.
Fair point. Fair point. I have seen it firsthand make a difference, which is good.
I'm a big fan. Don't get me wrong. I agree with concentricity making a huge difference.
Yeah, getting something concentric is very critical, but that's far more important and much better to do in the process rather than fixing it. Although, if you fix it, sometimes that will show you how much of an important factor it can be, and you then go through the process to make sure you get that done.
It's about working out where that problem is. Because you do get bad dies that are just cut on the piss, basically, when they made them.
Yes.
And no matter how hard you try, you're never, ever going to be able to produce straight ammo out of that die, and the only thing you can do with it is throw it out and get a new one, basically.
Fair.
Or send it back to the manufacturer and get them to give you a new one. You don't have to throw it out.
That would help as well, yeah.
Because you've paid good money for a shit product. They should
Yeah, but
fix
if it has a 3-letter name on the side of it, you can't expect too much.
Yeah, but it wouldn't. That's
RCBS got 4, mate.
Lee.
Right. One here from Philip Murray. It's made me take my time with my shots. Not that I put so much time into each round. I think it's he's basically saying he's much more careful with shooting because he knows the process of creating the ammo, that he really wants to make the most out of what he can get.
Oh, it's probably the opposite for me.
Shoot more, don't you?
Yeah, because it was a case of, you had to go buy ammo and you're like, how much for 20? Oh, Jesus. Now you're buying in bulk and you're like, oh, well, it's cheaper now I'm in bulk. And then you end up shooting 100 rounds rather than, 30 rounds.
One here from Jeremiah, flash hole uniforming. He drilled them out to 2 mil and they run a 5.5 on the inside to take the burrs off.
Yep.
Has got his ES down to 5. Now, many moons ago, we did a book review, book looking. We read on this podcast parts and bits and pieces and went through the advance. Oh, I'm going to get the name wrong now. It's with the Brian Lids books. The
Impact.
Impact. No, not that book. That was a different reading.
Oh.
It was the
Advanced ballistics.
Modern advancements in long-range shooting and ballistics or something like that. Excellent book from Ply Ballistics. Volume 2 was the one, and there was lots of tests done in there about flash hole uniforming, and it certainly was probably the biggest standout from that area, that section of the book about that.
Your mileage is going to vary a bit with that. If you've got some... the American brass is always real bad for it.
It depends on the brass, immensely.
Punched primers rather than drilled primers.
Yep.
Flash holes.
Yes.
The drilled ones, which was typically your European was normally drilled, and the old rule of thumb. Everything's changed a bit when you start to get your premiums like your alphas and all these sorts of
for sure
boutique ones that are just top shelf brass from America. But that does make a big difference, especially if you had these big dirty old dags in there from when they punched them in the first place. Yeah. Getting rid of them makes a huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've certainly seen difference in that and significant effect, which is good. The other one he mentions there is putting his powder throw into a lab spec power supply. Which is, I guess, the same idea of what you do with your UPS, is trying to level out that flow,
power quality, basically,
improving that, which is very useful and very interesting to see that improvement. Still not a lot of information about the new RCBS one. Actually, I haven't Googled that for a little while. Anyone remember what it was called?
No.
Matchmaster. That's what it is.
Sounds like a dating website.
Well, yeah, fingers crossed. They're releasing a shooter's version of Tinder. That's what it is. Good on them. Reload.
All the impact jokes.
Impact! What are we on to? Facebook, that's what we're looking at. Reading off things off there. Getting the gear that allows for high level of consistency and confidence in the end product. Yep, pimping out your gear. That's good. Switching out my Reading T7 turret press for a Forster coax. For some reason, the coax just about eliminates all run out, which is interesting because that T7, I've consistently heard really good results with it. Coax is also very good, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the whole one of the selling points, correct me if I'm wrong, you've got one of these things, you've used it a bit, but the whole selling point, as I understood with the Forsters, was essentially the die is floating, so it can
adjust accordingly.
self-align itself a bit. The Reading is, from all court accounts, one of the better of the turret presses.
There's probably the only turret press I'd actually consider getting is the T7. So maybe that for resizing everything and use the Forster for seating. I don't know, whatever combination you like.
I still run the cheap and dirty Rock Trucker. They are a pretty good press.
Yeah. From Tom.
You don't have to call it cheap and dirty then if it's good.
Well, it's not so cheap, it's just dirty. Going back to beam scales. Really, that didn't improve my shooting, just the tool I was using. Yeah. So he's gone from the Chargemaster to an RCBS 505. Any thoughts of going from the auto back to the manual?
You could drink more while you were reloading, but we've since established that's not a good idea.
Yeah, we'll cover that. There's a couple of comments on that. Yes.
Well, it will take longer. So.
Yeah, I think it makes sense, particularly if you've got a good experience and good knowledge. Is you will focus more on getting that powder measurement right rather than being a little bit reliant on the machine you're using. So the potential for increased accuracy could be there.
Well, what is the scale in a Chargemaster? Is that one of the flash ones or one of the
strain gauge cheapy? Oh, it's the
cheaper than two
common production. Yeah, it's not a lab scale.
Well, there might be something in that then.
Oh, a tuned beam scale will be more repeatable, typically speaking.
Yeah,
it's less prone to drifting, and absolutely, he can.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly get equal or probably better if he does everything right results with that than you will with a strain gauge based scale. But comes at a sacrifice of time essentially.
And
it's going to take a lot
PIDs. No, lack of PIDs.
Lack of PIDs, yeah.
You're not going to get electrical interference.
Correct.
You don't have to spend $1,000.
You don't need to worry about mains power failure.
Yeah.
So we're promoting beam scales. Is that our official position?
I've still got one. I've got one of the 1010 sitting in the bottom drawer. It hasn't been used in a long time, but I've still got it and don't plan on getting rid of it.
Good.
I got one of the O House from 1992.
Yeah.
It's super accurate.
Yeah.
When you put the test weights on it, and you can tune it to be accurate at a range of powder that you're throwing. So when I was using the beam scale, I went the whole hog and built a little stand to put it on, so it was up at eye level, so I didn't have to bend over. I extended the needle, so get a finer indication point, and rigged up a webcam.
Yep, so you can watch it. Yeah.
So then I could magnify it, so you get like a tablet-sized screen of these little needles, and all that stuff
helped
and it worked really well, but
sure,
it was just a shitload slower than what
I
I
got
currently
to load 150 rounds for a match or more.
The thought of going back to a beam scale makes me feel very unwell now. After what
You're looking nervous.
I'm like, nah, no way.
Yeah. Counterpoint from Jeff. Getting Chargemaster and not trickling has had the biggest effect on my sanity. I think leads into your second point there. It's all well and good, and it is probably very good, but how long do you want to spend doing it?
There are some people that find it therapeutic. For me, I just find it frustrating. But there are some people that find reloading therapeutic.
Allegedly. Or they just say that to make themselves feel better. We'll never know.
It's a coping mechanism. This is making me feel better. I am a better person.
Attention to
Why is it taking so long?
Attention to detail, making the process consistent and repeatable from Drew. Really good points. Yeah. Trimming factory brass to the correct length. He was running PPU in 243 and it was only just chambering in the ticker after first firing. So, anyway, obviously trimming fixed that for him.
Has anyone mentioned setting their dies up differently than what the instructions that come with them say?
No one has mentioned that. That's something you found?
Oh, yeah, because I have full-length 3 size all every firing, But I set my dies up so they're only bumping the shoulder back 1, maybe 2 thou,
Okay.
rather than the instructions which kind of talk about wind it all the way in, then half a turn or a quarter turn or whatever it was. Yeah, that's not how I set mine up because you tend to be bumping the shoulder a lot.
Yep.
Which then leads to shorter case life and more prone to case head separation, all those lovely things.
Sure.
But to do that, you'd need the proper measuring tools.
Yeah, the proper measuring tool is great, but if you're running a 308 base case or even a 65 case, or not necessarily any old case, just go grab a 9mm piece of brass off the ground at pretty much any range and use that as a put a 9mm case over the end and use that with the calipers, and it's pretty bloody close.
Okay. Not one thing alone made a massive difference, but a lot of small details certainly helped. Consistently over the whole reloading process was very important. It's true, but we're looking for individual examples. From Michael, doing one thing at a time. Number one, responsibility is safety. In tens of thousands of reloaded rounds, I've never had a case with no powder or primer or caused any other dangerous situation. Showing off now. The benefits.
No primer, it's not very dangerous. It's not going to go off.
The benefit is ammunition tailored to suit your rifle, which is probably more accurate and almost always cheaper to produce than factory rounds. I'd like to start kneeling as the quest for consistent neck tension, I think, is really important.
It really pushes into the bushing die territory as well.
Speaking of which, there is one here that says something along those lines. Now I've lost it.
Was that bushing die and turning your necks and all that? Then
Yeah, all of that stuff, that rabbit hole.
Reading S-type bushing dies was one comment from Joel.
Is that all the comments said?
I've got, correct. Yep. And then one from the Rum Baron, sipping a nip of Caribbean rum whilst reloading.
Sounds pretty solid.
Can't formally back that, but he sells rum, so I guess he's going to say that at every opportunity, isn't he?
That's just his go-to answer for everything.
Everything's better with rum.
I did say always on the sales pitch, mate. Always on there. Yeah. Over on the Hunting HQ podcast where he resides, you'll regularly get a rum fact, depending on how much rum he's had. Will be the level of interest on that particular rum fact. Always good. Anyway, so there's a bunch of comments, guys. Thanks for throwing them at us. It was good to see lots of discussion. There was some threads that went on for a few comments deep as well, about different ideas and ways of doing things. So it was very good to see. Now we have a particular comment here, who I've copied and pasted and put somewhere else, and now don't know who sent it to us. Let me go back into the original message. That'd be the sensible way to do things. And we shall find out from Tom. Tom sent us a message. Here we go. Just listening to a few old episodes while banging away in the shed with my other hobby. Oh, that's...
What's that, masturbating in the shed?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe he's a filmmaker. I'm not sure. We'll see. Anyway, enough about that.
That old hobby. I didn't realise it was a hobby.
It
was just like a get through the day thing.
Would love to hear your thoughts, or even if you discuss reloading kits. I'm semi-experienced shooter, but I've always bought factory ammo. Having just bought my first precision centerfire 6.5 Creedmoor, I'd like to start loading my own. There are obviously many kits out there for the beginner reloader. Are there any better than others? Additionally, after reading an article on the Precision Rifle blog, I'd like to add extra steps to the process, being neck turning and annealing. Purchasing an annealer is out at this stage, but can get it done fairly cheaply by a friend. The other tool that seems to be fairly critical is an OAL gauge. Love to hear your thoughts, suggestions, or discussions. Right, kits, Bronte, kits. Should you buy a kit? Should you build your own? What should you do?
Don't say depends on your budget.
Well,
I could say, it depends on your budget. Yeah.
If it doesn't depend on your budget,
okay.
Personally, I would buy the components individually because I guess a lot of people start off with a lead kit, and that's a really great way of
starting.
Yep. You've never reloaded before, done very little shooting. You want to find out whether it's for you, for not a huge amount of money. You can get all the bits and pieces to make ammunition.
Yep.
But I think most people that have started with a Lee kit don't use and then have progressed to reload on a regular basis and spent more money.
Yes.
Probably don't have anything left from that Lee kit that they use. Maybe the powder funnel.
Shell holders, maybe?
Shell holders, like the odd bits and pieces. Often the priming tool.
Hand priming tool.
Yeah, I break mine pretty quickly. On
Yeah,
that.
okay. Send it back to Lee. They're pretty good with that. Anyway,
But, yeah.
that aside, fair point.
And they're a good way to start. You can upgrade your bits and pieces as you go through.
What about something like a Reading kit or a Hornady kit or
Reading
something?
RCBS, they are probably a better kit to if you know that you're interested
This gentleman's
in shooting.
just bought his first precision centerfire. I think he's committed to taking that next step. I would caution against buying Lee kit just because you're going to end up replacing everything.
Yeah.
If you're at that point where you're like, oh no, I really want to get into this.
Yeah.
I agree.
I wouldn't get that because you're going to replace just about everything.
Yeah, RCBS kit's probably one of the better ones kicking around, but I wouldn't buy a kit personally. I would buy, whether it's any of the name brand presses. Yeah, your Rock Jock is a good press. The Reading Big Boss, I think it's called.
Yeah, Big Boss.
Same.
T7s.
If you got the money, the coax would be awesome.
Sure. Yep.
Any of those sort of solid, well-made cast presses, they're going to do you well. And then, your bits and shits. I mean, I wouldn't buy a kit because all the kits come with a beam scale. And, sure, it's great, but I couldn't.
I got an RCPS kit that came with electric scales.
Did it?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Hornady do.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It's, some kits that will,
Yeah.
for sure.
Cool.
Yep. They won't come with the Charge Masters or the whatever the Horny one's called, but they come with scales,
So little.
electronic scale. Oh, there's different variations again still. So, yeah. So, what did you do? Did you buy a kit originally when you started
Like
back in the day?
like back in the day.
Yeah, first reloading prize.
Nearly 20 years ago, yes.
Yeah, you bought a kit.
Well, I didn't buy it. Dad bought it because
Dad
I was
bought
only about like 10. But I made most of the ammo. Yeah, we bought one of the Lee kits, and that lasted and made plenty good enough ammunition for spotlighting because that's
Sure.
what we did at that point in time. And a 300-meter shot was a really, really long shot.
Yeah.
At that point in time because that's what we grew up with. But yeah, I guess none of that stuff from that Lee kit has survived. Everything got
Sure.
replaced.
That has been 20-ish years, as you
Oh,
as
yeah,
you
but it
point
got
out.
replaced
A bit quicker
a
than that.
heck of a lot quicker than that.
Yep.
Broke the casting on the press.
Yes.
The Lee scale,
Should've
I could
used
never
more
get them.
lube.
Oh, well, that was half the problem. I used the Lee lube that come with it and then realised
That's
that
glue,
was a
mate.
terrible idea. Yes, it is glue.
Well, what about you, Dutchy?
The typo.
You bought a kit recently, didn't you?
Yeah, I bought an RCBS kit.
Reading?
No, RCBS.
I did buy a
One of them,
RCBS.
I don't know what it was called.
Yeah.
I took advantage of our exchange rate with the US before they put tax on imported stuff. Got it from
Gotcha.
the US and it was half the price of what you paid
Yeah.
over here.
Yeah, right.
Can't
Back
do
in the
that
day.
anymore.
No.
Our dollar's tanked and they
Yeah.
put a 10% GST on everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and that came with pretty well everything to go to start, but I've added
You bought
trimming.
a press not that long ago, didn't you?
No, I'm still using the same
It's
press.
the same one. All right.
I've just used the press mount Lee trimmer, the quick trimmer, whatever it is.
Yes. Yeah.
which is really good tool from them.
Yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't get one of the other trimmers where you got to use the pilots and
The lathe style.
the lathe style one. I just think that's overcomplicated.
Yep.
Which a lot of the kits have. So when I'm looking at kits, if it's got one of those in, I sort of
It's out.
can it because it's just something I'd never use. Yeah, that came with the press, thrower, trickler, scale, electronic scales.
Yep. Yeah. Okay.
And it wasn't that expensive, but like I said, that was before they introduced that 10% sale,
Sure.
10% sales tax on stuff from overseas, and I think our exchange rate was about $1 to $1 then.
Yeah.
So it worked out
Good then.
quite cheap. Yeah, my chair's got a
Got a
knock in
thing on it.
Yeah, it's pissed me off.
Yeah, okay.
But,
So
yeah.
when I started reloading, I didn't buy a kit. I just went and bought the various parts that I thought I wanted, and I think I kind of want to say that buying a kit's not a bad thing. Given my experience, my situation was unique though. So at that stage, I worked in a gun shop, and the gun shop had a reloading bench, reloading setup, and so I got to play with stuff and reload at the shop prior to actually buying. So when I did buy, I was buying with a reasonably good basis of knowledge and experience, and I could pick the things that I wanted initially anyway. But if you, the problem with putting together a kit that you're not just buying off the shelf, and buying off the shelf as a kit is generally a bit cheaper than buying all the components, which makes sense. But if you're not sure what you're wanting to get, you'll buy what you think you want, and very quickly work out they aren't what you wanted or whatever it is. Whereas buying a kit of whichever budget you're able to afford allows you to have the things that you need to reload, and then spend some time learning how to do so. And so I'm probably softened on that. I'm not against buying those things, because then when you do buy the replacement, so even if you start with a lead kit, it's not a bad way to go, because for $300-ish, you will in 6 months, 9 months, year, whatever, how long it might be, you'll work out, right, this process I want to upgrade, I want to improve, and I've used that now, and I like this way of doing it, or this way of doing it, or whichever way you want to go with it. And it gets you started, gets you underway. So
I just used all your stuff when you got it.
Yeah.
To be honest, well, that was like probably 2 years I was using.
Yeah,
your
it came
stuff
around and loaded and
what I really was going to use and what I really wasn't, and then bought a kit off that.
based off that.
And I don't think there's anything in my kit I don't use.
Yeah. So
But that said, I
that's a win.
knew what I was looking for. Yeah.
And you
So
bought
I
the kit that matched.
Yeah, I suppose maybe trying to find someone with a kit and just asking to borrow
Yeah.
their stuff, but maybe get your own dyes.
That's what you did, didn't you?
Yeah, I was using my own
sitting
dyes,
here.
and then all of your stuff, and really got a good idea of what worked and what I needed and what I didn't. And
Yep.
Yeah,
Mistakes
that was-
I'd made. Yeah. So I think that's sort of the caveat. If you want to put together your own kit, certainly the better, longer term way of doing it, buying the bits and pieces you want, and probably in your situation, Bronte, is once you got to that point to buy your own gear, not use Dad's gear, you were well into knowing what you wanted, what you needed, and you just bought the stuff that you were after.
I bought the stuff that I wanted because I knew what I needed and how it worked and what it was good and what wasn't.
Yeah, and I was probably at a similar position when I did that, and then Dutchy found a kit that suited the knowledge and experience he had at that point. So I wouldn't.
I've added a lot of stuff to that kit now,
and you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're using the majority of what you bought, that's an uncommon story, but shows that you had practiced.
That's probably the difference buying something like the RCBS kit, where you're getting pretty decent scales in it. You're getting decent press. Like I'm using a rock chucker now, which pretty sure most of those RCBS kits come with a rock chucker.
Yes.
My thrower came with 2 barrels as well, so you can
you can change them out.
Yeah.
I'm using the RCBS thrower. I'm using a RCBS hand priming thing. So a lot of my stuff would be the same gear that come in.
That'd be the
kit,
only thing I'd change on mine, my hand primer.
Yeah,
It's a pain in the ass to change the shell holder over.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
fair,
about
cool.
the only
Yes, I agree with that.
thing. Yeah.
So I
But
think
it's a good primer, so
I think what was
I snapped my Lee one, so I snap a lot of things.
Where if I? That's right. That's probably more on user, because I've got still my original Lee is still going. I've bought the more updated versions, which are certainly better. But so reloading kits. Again, jumping where at a budget you can. Do you buy a kit first up is probably the advice we're defaulting to. If you haven't got the experience to buy the right bits and pieces that you need, it'll get you there, and then you can replace things as you go along. Sort of defers the cost over a bit of time. If you
Money's
can get around,
no object, though.
if money's no
Object,
yeah,
I would buy all the top because
well that's I mean
find someone that's willing to sell one of their drill garage trimmers. You like everybody's got one. Will never get rid of it.
Never sell it.
Yeah. Same with the amp annealers. Everyone's got one. They all love them and never get rid of them.
I mean, that's
If
it.
coax, find a second-hand coax. You'll never find one.
But given that he said that purchasing a annealer is out at this stage, it's probably
It's probably
financial.
there would be few people that money is no issue for. And
they
just go, oh, here's 10 grand worth of gig.
By
Giddy up.
A&D set up, and that's very true. So continuing on his conversation there, extra steps being added into neck turning and annealing. But annealing out of the moment, we've probably harped on that annealing is a very useful process, and we all certainly, I know that you've done it, Bronte,
I
on
would
a
say
regular basis.
stuff doing neck turning as well.
At
this stage.
Unless you're unlucky and stupid. And
Well, he's not unlucky or stupid. He's got us giving him advice.
no,
What are you
he's
calling?
lucky, and he's going to be
for
clever.
me,
at the end of it.
unlucky and stupid where I got a tight neck chamber. And then I decided it would be a good idea to use Liverpool brass, which just doesn't quite fit by about 3 thou. So I am forced to neck turn. Otherwise, I can't chamber around.
Yeah, neck turning is one of the ones that's perhaps has mixed results across the board. I think it's something you could go to if you needed to, but I wouldn't jump straight into it.
I looked at it for ages, thinking whether or not I'd do it, and I just decided not to.
If you don't have to do it, I don't, because it's not an enjoyable process.
Yeah, it didn't look. And there's a lot of problems you can run into if you're not keyed
donuts.
up. Like
Donuts. Everyone thinks donuts should be a good thing. When neck turning, they're not a good thing.
Yeah, and then how much tooling you have to get it accurate as well. It's
all of
like,
that stuff.
This is blowing out for I
and
don't
then
know
if you want
what
to actually measure what
benefit.
you've turned, and then you've got to go pay another $300 for this little micrometer with a ball on the end.
Yep.
Do you think the annealing would be better use of money compared to neck turning?
Oh, definitely.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I'd neck turn is if I had to. I wouldn't neck turn for fun.
Yep.
Annealing, I've noticed an appreciable improvement in both accuracy and reduction in SD and PS as a result, what I'd directly attribute to annealing.
Yeah, especially if you were starting reloading, I wouldn't throw neck turning in as something you'd want to rip into starting, because you just get it would just be overwhelming. You'd be like, this is ridiculous. What am I gaining for all of this effort with the potential to have, fairly catastrophic failures if you don't do it properly?
Well, the worst thing you're going to do is destroy cases, which...
When you're on welfare, mate, and
worst
that's
thing.
a pretty bad thing to have happen, isn't it right, Dutchy?
I wouldn't know, mate.
I've
What was
got
that new job you got?
Nah.
Oh, that's right.
I don't neck turn.
I'm actually keen to try neck turning. Now that I've got a lathe, I want to try neck turning on the lathe, because I reckon that would be so much quicker and easier.
Nice. Speaking about new shooters and reloading and getting, not new shooters, but new reloaders. I had a guy ring me today, and many guys will know Projectiles Warehouse sort of thing is the sample packets and doing that sort of thing. And he was just starting out in reloading, and he said, "Oh, maybe I'll pick up a bunch of sample packs and get started with it." I said, my general piece of advice, and you guys can tell me if I should change this, but is generally, look, mate, buy 100 of something that's going to sort of sit within the parameters of what you want to achieve, and go and load them and shoot them off before you start loading up lots of samples and lots of different variation. Because I think for someone who's new to it, particularly the first time they're doing it, getting 100 through down range will just get you a bit more experience, because you'll see a reasonable amount of variation, particularly when you start, depending on the type of person you are, perhaps. But you see a bit of variation in there that even if you're trying different loads, you may not see the benefit of those loads.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I think you did right there, because there's a lot of things you can stuff up in the reloading process, not quite doing things properly
and if you're trying
inconsistently.
to change your powder amount every 4 rounds or 3 rounds or 5 rounds, and then you're changing your projectile seating depth every 20 rounds, and you're doing that sort of thing, if you're experienced, it's no issue. It's just what you do is for load development. But if you are learning it, you're probably best to crank through 100, 200, 300, just get them down range, make sure they're good, test your equipment out, look for any problems, try and get them as consistent as you can. And once you're shooting decent groups out of it, then head down the load development path.
Totally agree. Yep.
Yeah, that's I would suggest.
If as soon as you start changing projectiles, your whole like
There's a whole stack of
the
stuff
whole
you've got to take into
start process
consideration.
resets.
Yeah.
You can't use any of your other
Pretty much, yeah.
experience. And if you're starting out and you got 5 new projectiles, with your 20 of each,
Yeah.
to make up your 100, you're just going to confuse yourself with overload of data, and you're not
Yeah.
going to have like consistent. Whereas if you've got 100 of the same, you can go, all right, well, this small amount of charge difference makes a difference in your
Yep.
point of impact this much, or your deviation this much.
Yeah.
Whereas
always
if you've
that-
got 5 to choose from, you're just going to confuse yourself.
It's the odd scientific method to change one variable at a time so you can actually monitor it. You
Yes.
change 2 things. Great, this is better than all the last one was. Okay, but what
Why?
made it better? Is
Yeah.
it the different projectile that was better, or is it the different powder, or
Or something else you didn't
it
know
was
about?
something in between that I didn't realise changed?
Or it could
No.
be both. But yeah. The other tool that seems fairly critical is an OAL gauge.
Depends.
Overall length gauge.
Yeah, as
is
in for measuring your
measuring off your projectile or off your ogive really to work
It's
out
not so much
out.
overall length anymore,
Yeah.
is it? It's
I
of the lens.
don't use one of those anymore.
Okay.
I bought one, used it for a while,
Yep.
and no longer use it.
Why? Or what do you do instead?
So basically, my process is I will seat a round very long that I
Yes.
know is going to be jamming in the lens.
Yep.
I'll then take the firing pin out. I'll take the ejector plunger
Yes.
out as
Yep.
well, and I'll basically chamber the round.
Yep.
And if there's resistance on lifting the bolt up,
Sure.
I know I'm jammed. I
Okay.
then
Yep.
turn
Then
my
back it
setting
off
die
from there.
in
Yep.
all the way up into the point that I can
So
don't feel that click of that primary extraction.
So the perhaps we'll clarify this way. The other process that's fairly critical is some way of measuring or setting your OAL. If the question was that, Tom, then yes, definitely that is an important factor to make the most of knowing where your bullets are seating. Is that particular tool critical? It's not critical. It's a good way of doing it, and some people will really like utilising that tool. Yep, especially if they're having to pull their firing pin out and starting to pull extractors off and plungers.
Well, that's right. It depends how easy the bolt is to
Yeah,
strip down, because the tickers, it's not quite as easy to pull the ejector plunger out.
That's right. So it's an excellent tool, but that process is important, and that is one that's not too difficult for someone who's getting started in it. It's sort of you do it once for that sort of round, and then you're pretty good to
Pretty
go
squared
from
away.
there. It's not like you have to keep changing stuff every single time.
Another way to deal with that is to just not prime the case or put any powder in it and just have a dummy case
Yep.
out of your lot that you can just put
Yep.
a projectile in and
Yeah,
seat
absolutely.
it as you would everything else. But then you got to remember that one's
And
separate.
there's all different ways of achieving the same thing, and there's different processes to it. The OAL gauge from Hornady is a single setup that's good. If you're going to go down that path, I'd suggest getting a tap for it, so you can make your own modified cases.
That's the actual the rod with the plunger.
Correct. Yeah,
arrangement.
yeah.
They're pretty handy.
Yep.
The only thing I've found with those, if you can get inconsistent results if you don't use it right, which is not unsurprising.
Which is
But
most things.
if you push too much pressure on it, you'll actually find that you're jamming the projectile well and truly into the lens.
Yep.
By up to a reasonable amount.
Yes.
You really don't need to push on the back of it tue hard to
No,
get
just
to
sort
the,
of
just
to tap it.
touch it. Yeah.
That's
but
it.
one thing I would definitely recommend is the other part of that kit, which is like the
Yep, comparator gauge.
comparator gauge. That's
Yeah,
the
so
word.
that measures off
and
the
then the
ogive.
little seat anvil thing on the
Yes.
bottom, which is
Anvil base.
yeah, they're pretty awesome.
Yeah, they are definitely really important. Yeah, in fact, perhaps more important if you are changing. They become really important when you are changing projectiles and trying different projectiles in there. Yeah, because then you get a really consistent measurement.
I'd buy one of those before I bought the
The overall.
gauge.
overall
Yeah.
length, the comparators.
yeah. I'd buy a
Remember the
comparator.
headspace comparator? That would, if you're
Well,
full
the
length
headspace
sizing to do it.
Headspace comparator. With most 308 base case, you can get away with like a 9mm pistol case.
Okay.
I think
Oh, yeah, you said,
my
yeah.
Biggenden dies actually come with a empty 9mm case
Oh,
in
really?
the box. I thought it was quite amusing that they
Yeah,
they
right.
shipped it with just a 9mm brass case in there.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So, Tom, I think hopefully that answers a few things. We're probably still, not sure whether or not we go for a kit or not, but there's some clarification there as to which way. I don't think either's wrong or right. It just depends on your situation, your budget, and the experience you have prior. And I think that's the biggest thing. If you haven't got a lot of experience with reloading, a kit's a really simple way to get started, and then you will work out what you do and don't like. Off things, and all the kits you can grab the kits, grab some dies, and be pumping out ammo that day. So just take your time with it and learn it, and away you go from there. Yeah, apparently Tom is a underwater basket weaver, according to this Facebook thing.
Specialised trade there.
Yeah, that's right. So a good underwater dexterity, which is. I'm lacking dexterity all around at the moment. Typing emails is a pain in the ass right at the moment.
You're doing it wrong, man.
Pain in the finger at the moment. Is that better? Yeah, very good. So what's coming up? Gentlemen, any shooting adventures coming up? We've got the club matches this weekend kicking on. I've got to ride a rimfire match, apparently. I'm just going to steal the Biggenden match and run some of those stages, I think.
Oh, the distances.
Yeah. And then finale invites for the PRS have gone out this weekend. This week have gone out for the first weekend in November. So if you are anywhere near Adelaide that weekend, first weekend in November, or can be, or want to be, or anything, that will be a very good weekend to see virtually the best shooters in the country go around and do their thing. So if you want to...
Where's that going to be?
Monardo.
At Monardo, okay.
Yeah. So it's returning back to where the meltdown was, and should be a very exciting weekend.
Oh,
The Monardo meltdown.
the Monardo,
Yeah,
not someone had a meltdown.
No,
I'm
no.
so rubbish at this.
No one has.
I wasn't shooting that day.
They just couldn't build a fire very well for the campfire, and that's what they were meant to do.
Yeah.
Yep, I've had that once or twice. Very good. Bronte, any more full drive adventures coming up for you?
Not planned, but it's the unplanned ones that are most fun.
They're the best.
I think the ones with a crowd are the best. Cheers you on.
Especially when they
Eggs
got
you on to do ridiculous things.
I do ridiculous things by myself. I don't need encouragement.
Fantastic.
The other one's saying, you really shouldn't do that. No, but it will work.
Well, you shouldn't do it, but I'm going to. That's the best ones. Fantastic. All right, guys. Thanks to our patron supporters. All Aspect T-shirts are available for the final pre-order, and then they will be printed sometime in October. Ready to rock and roll. So do that. Jump on that. Thanks for listening. Any last words of wisdom, Dutchy?
At least we recorded this one.
Thanks for listening to the Precision Shooting Podcast. To continue the discussion, check out our Facebook page. And for more information, head to our website, www.precisionshootingpodcast.com.au. This episode was brought to you by Impact Dynamics.